All right, so
Oh yeah.
let's get this kicking here. Nice.
Uh-huh.
Wait, I have one question I just thought of right now.
Well, we're live.
Oh, never mind.
Testing, testing.
So we're live. Welcome everybody. And welcome to the Inferno Cast, episode 068. I am Fox, host of the podcast and of YouTube's Inferno Fox Gaming channel. Inferno Fox Gaming has content regarding RPGs, Nintendo, retro gaming, and more. You can find us here on the Inferno Cast, of course, here on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more. It's a special holiday themed episode. And what better way to spend it with our fantastic cast and crew? Let's start off with Jamie Owls. Jamie Owls 87. She is my partner and partner in crime. Jamie Owls, for whom I unceremoniously interrupted at the beginning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
And also joining us is Stormrosesky of the YouTube and Twitch channels of Stormrosesky. Storm, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. I have to take a photo and share it with you guys in our group chat about the cat who decided to bread on my notes. Where have the things written down for tonight? So she's going to be unhappy when I move her in a moment. There's my long intro. Hello, everyone. Happy holidays.
And always glad to have you join us as well. And when you said bride, you mean like loafing? Like she's loafing?
Yes, she's breaded. That's what we call it. She's got
Uh,
both her paws tucked in, laying on the notebook where I have things written down, and she has decided this is home right now next to me. So
Nice.
gotcha. Also joining us is Jason the 13th of the YouTube channel Jason the 13th. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem. Sorry I missed last week. It's just a rough day at work.
Oof. No worries. Glad that you're up and around and moving. And speaking of which, we have Hillbilly Hardicus, who is our good friend and resident hill slut, and he is also joining us with a super sexy voice. Hardicus, thank you so much for joining us.
I mean, to be fair, my voice is always kind of sexy, but the sore throat just kind of adds to that mysterium sexiness.
You're not wrong.
1-800-404-CAST to hear Hillbilly Hardicus with a special message for you.
Exactly.
And when Stormrose said, someone is being bred, I definitely did not go to, loafing around bread definition.
no, we can always count on you, Hardicus.
Oh yeah.
$9.99 a
Subscribe
minute,
at the
18 plus only.
Wait till the Patreon days come. Oh,
Oh
Lord.
yeah.
Inferno Cast
Friends,
After
you
Dark.
listening, you got some fun stuff coming. We also have Astrimedes back this week. He is out of development hell. He's also a developer and co-owner of Second Place Games. Astrimedes, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. It's not so much that I'm out of development hell, more like I'm taking a breath before being submerged back into development hell.
Gotcha. You got to get a deep breath before you're plunged back in, eh?
Yep.
Ugh, fun. Except not fun. And speaking of fun, we have Simbu Darkfang, who has a lot of fun hosting live streaming video games gameplay on the Scurryface channel on Twitch. Make sure to check out his live broadcasts of WWE 2K24 Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Simbu, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, hey, once in a while I pop up. All times are in Central Standard Time for any of our friends listening in other time zones.
Exactly. 7 p.m. Central or 10 p.m. Guatemala. So there you are. To celebrate our holiday season, our main topic, it is gift giving time. We're getting gifts. We're giving gifts. At least it would be if we did the infinite money trick on SimCity or the 1991 SNES version of SimCity. You get the infinite money trick. Or I guess for Jamie Owls, it'd be infinite money trick for Sims 4. We're going to be talking about gifts that we give each of our Inferno castmates, and these gifts are what we think they would like, not what we would like for them to enjoy. So, for example, I would buy Jamie Owls the collector's edition of Tomb Raiders 1 through 3 remakes because I know she'd like them. If I wanted to buy something I'd want everybody to like, everybody gets copies of Final Fantasy VI, and that would be it. But and obviously, we are a video game related podcast. Gifts have to be video games or video game related or adjacent. So let's go ahead and kick things off. I'm going to give you guys my list of your gifts for each of you, and then I'll call on each of you for your gifts for our fellow classmates, castmates. Maybe I should say cellmates.
That's more like it.
One quick thing,
us.
since we are live, we have Fat Boys Gaming and Nonsense saying, hey, and Merry Christmas, y'all. He's glad to catch us live, and he got a Monster Hunter Collector Edition Switch from his best friend. That is a hell of a gift, so congratulations on that. That is awesome. But if we're going to be giving gifts to each of you guys, I'm going to start with Jamie Owls. Jamie Owls, you are by far the easiest one to get gifts for obvious reasons. Since I am actually already getting you the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remakes.
Spoilers for Christmas there.
But she knows it's coming. So, and it's limited run games, and I pre-ordered that the beginning of the year, so I won't get it until 2029. So figured I'd make sure she got a heads up on that.
Hope I'm alive by then.
I hope so too. I mean,
yeah, really.
Yeah, you never know. I would probably get her the Bubsy collector's edition, which the limited run games is going to be doing a collection of the Bubsy games. These are games that Jamie Owls does enjoy. So for those thinking that, oh, Bubsy, really? Nope. It has a cute cat. It's a platformer. It's a lot of fun. Jamie Owls really enjoyed them. And what better thing than the Bubsy collection? So moving on to Stormrosesky. Storm, you're getting Friday the 13th, the PS4 physical copy. Because nothing says love than a game that you love and you can't play, right?
Yep, but that would be freaking great because I only have a digital on the Switch, so I would take it gladly just to have it. Ah, sad face.
I think for real though, I'd probably get you Miss Pac-Man, either like a full arcade cabinet or like the smaller arcade 1-up unit. Like if you guys had, or you would want something like that, or failing that, maybe like the Sega Genesis itself with the Miss Pac-Man cart. Because I looked and the Sega Genesis minis, the 1 and 2, didn't have Miss Pac-Man on them. Otherwise, that could have been a real thing I could have gotten you.
Nope, I don't think so, and that would be great. Ugh, that was the best version of Miss Pac-Man on the Genesis. I miss it, but I know. Say lovey.
It was. I totally agree with you. And I remembered the memories that you made with your mom for that. So it would have been something that would really take you back.
Yep, for sure.
Jason the 13th, you showed what I was going to get you. You already got it apparently at the beginning as we were going live. So how dare you? Instead, you know what? I'm going to be a jerk. I'm going to get you Pal World for the PS5.
For anyone's seen, my newest pickup was Mega Man Battle Network for the GameCube. I just was able to pick that up for a good deal.
Yeah. So because you're Mr. Pokemon, you're getting Pal World.
I'd actually play it.
Take
That's
that.
the funny part.
Yeah, take that, Mr. Nintendo Pokemon fan. You're getting Pal World. We also for Hardicus, I'm going to make you suffer, and you would get a PS5 Pro. Because you just have the PS4. So not only would you get the normal, but you'd get the upgrade. You would not get the 30th anniversary edition because I'm going to take that. I'm taking that sucker. You're not getting the 30th
suffering. how I will just have to suffer with my PS5 Pro. Damn you,
Exactly.
Glenn. Oh, damn you, Inferno Fox.
Simbu, you are getting 10,000 Luther coins. This is the in-game currency for Suicide Squad, the online only game.
A
It's like,
game that I have looked at it because it's like $10 for like the digital deluxe at this point because of how trash the game did. I have seriously considered it, but I don't know. Not
Yep.
worth it. Still don't think it's worth it.
nope, you're gonna get 10,000 Luther coins. No, for you, you were my toughest one to think to get. So I would get you a $340.17 gift card in PlayStation Store credit. So you can use it to any of the PlayStation stuff. You can also apply that, and that becomes fork knife credit, because I want to say there's a way that you can do when you buy it internally, you can convert
Yeah.
it to that.
Yep.
Well, you would add funds to the PlayStation wallet, and then I would go and as I'm buying, it would, because all transactions from Fortnite have to run through the PlayStation Store on the PlayStation, Nintendo eShop if you're on Nintendo, and the Microsoft Store if you're on Xbox or PC, or Epic Game Store I think is on PC. But
So
so it's just pull from the funds in my wallet.
the $340.17 of funds, because 3 for the Total Rock Band games we played together, 4 for the Halo games we played, 0 for the amount of times you've beaten me in Smash Brothers, and 17 was how old I was when I met you.
Damn, that's oddly specific.
Exactly. And then finally, Astrimedes, you would get a 1-year subscription to Unity Pro. That's the game development tools for Unity software. You are expensive. You're at an expensive date there, Astrimedes. That's a suppose their website said it was like $2,040, but you get like the ability to publish and all these tutorials and everything, and it would give you the motivation to get to programming to making your Twisted Metal like game that you've been talking about wanting to make.
That's very thoughtful, but I'm not a fan of Unity, the company, so I'm very glad you didn't really buy me the gift.
It's a thought that
But
could.
I do need motivation, so appreciate the thought.
You could hate use it. You could use it. And, you could hate it. You're like, I'm hate using you. So those are my gifts. If I had to give gifts for each of you guys, as you guys saw, I pretty much only limited it to 1, maybe two each. Jason the 13th, you're gonna be my next victim. What gifts are you going to be giving? And this is going to be recorded for all time. I am utilizing the power of
okay.
Excel to type down what everybody is going to be getting each other.
Because
I'm that much of a nerd.
Yep, we know you like to take your lists. So we're going to start off with the only one that does not have a physical copy yet. Simbu. Since I couldn't think of, you were kind of hard to figure out, but I went with the game that's coming out in March. I know it's on the Switch. I'm not sure if it's on every system, but it's one I kind of want. It looks like a Hollow Knight type of game, and I know you would enjoy it too. It's called oh my god, what? Hold on. Have a Nice Death, where you are playing as a Grim Reaper.
I actually think I've heard of this game.
Oh, it looks fun as all hell.
Honest to God, I think I have heard of it, but haven't heard too much about it.
So that's my pick for you, because I actually kind of want the game myself. So you're the only one that the game isn't out yet. So
I think
Now,
it's out
remember-
digitally, but not physically.
oh, is it out digitally already? I know the physical is coming in March. So
See, he only picked this because he wanted to say the game because he really wants it, and
Oh,
he
I
really
want it
wants
too.
me to like. He really wants me to like it.
Uh-huh.
That's the
Yep.
deal.
Kind of.
So
Yes,
it's not
but
something I would probably actually enjoy.
oh no. If you look up the videos, you would enjoy it. You would definitely enjoy it. So the hardest person on this list to get though was Hillbilly. So Hillbilly, since I was having difficulties with you, I'm gonna go old school, and I'm going to get you Vandal Hearts for the PS1. I fell in love with that game before any other tactic game, and I think just kind of since I didn't know what to get for you, trying to share like a really great game that I fell in love with you, you probably get a kick out of that one.
It is an excellent game, and I have it.
Oh, you do? I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
realize that. All
I have
right,
Vandal
well.
Hearts 1 and 2. They're excellent games, so I definitely would have appreciated something like that.
Yeah, that's a good pick, Jay. Son.
Yep. So, and then for Robin, Storm. Yeah, I know it's been a long
We're
time
just
since we've done
doxing
it.
everybody tonight.
I know.
Huh?
I know. For
The
Storm,
Docs cast.
God, Bob, stop doxing us.
Jeez,
Well,
Bob.
you probably have to get Steam for the games I'd want to get you, but I'd get you those kindergarten games that I told you about, where you're going around, you're trying to find everything, and you keep dying in weird and strange ways through the whole game.
That would be fun.
It's a very fun little game. So, but for Astrimedes there, I was trying to think of like like strange one-off type games or independent like games, and I thought back to when I watched Matt Pat from the GT Live and the Game Theory channel and all that, doing some of his playthroughs, and I think this game would be right up your alley. It's called Little Misfortune.
Not familiar with it actually.
Are you
Really?
really? Oh, see.
No, I'm
Oh,
not.
you're
I
not
said.
familiar. Okay, so you play as a little girl going off on an adventure, and she keeps talking to ghosts, and it's got a very sad twist at the end of it. And I think it would be right up your line of humor with how everything goes.
Thoughtful pick, I think.
Like I said, I was trying to think of games that were kind of out of the box, and that one popped in the head. I was like, and I had to search down the name of it because I couldn't remember the name of the darn thing.
Nice.
And then for Jamie, uh, oh my God, my brother, he loved these games. They're an old horror game. I think PlayStation or PS2, the Fatal Frame games.
Mhm.
Or it's a horror game. You're walking around and you gotta take pictures of everything.
Yeah, because they have a few of them on the Switch now.
Oh, are they?
They
I
have
didn't know that too.
They have two on PlayStation, PS4, PS5 right now. Fatal Frame, the Blackwater Maiden, I think it is.
Ooh.
And then there's two newer Fatal Frames. I've been waiting for them to go on sale, and they will not go on sale. They never go on sale.
But it's a horror game that my brother loved, and I remember watching him play it, and I think you would get a good kick out of those games.
That's a good
And
pick.
then for Inferno here, who has like every game that I could think of, you're the only one that I would get you a game that you can't play, because I would find a graded Final Fantasy VI for you. That way you could have one for display.
Oh, but
I know. I was looking at some of them.
You know my thought about graded games.
But if you don't buy it and it's a gift for your collection, that's why it would be fine.
What is graded?
So there's an organization called WADA, which goes around like grading games. It's essentially like
It's like a certified condition thing.
Right. Yep.
Such and such condition.
Yeah, there's a couple companies.
I
there's a
have
couple
trading
heard of
companies
this.
and-
Okay. Yeah.
Trading cards or signatures,
yep.
things like that.
Gotcha.
Comic books, things like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know it's not something you would go and get specifically, but if it's a gift for a collection, it might be something kind of cool.
I have feelings about that. I appreciate it was a good thought, but yeah, I think but at least you knew that it was my favorite game. I think
Oh,
that's
that
great.
I know. But otherwise,
Who doesn't know that?
everything else, like you already have. So,
Oh man, no, those are really good choices, very thoughtful. And I'm honestly surprised that you mentioned a indie-like game that Astrimedes didn't
I
know.
put some thought into that one. I'm like, I need to find something that I know of that would be good for him. So that was one that I remember. I'm like, ooh, he would actually appreciate the twist at the end of the game.
Looks odd. I like that.
Yep,
Mhm.
exactly.
Nice pick. Very, very nice pick. Um, let's move on to I know he's gonna have some good ones. Simbu. Let's move on to
Ooh.
what Simbu would pick for everybody, and whether or not it's coal, like a lump of coal that has Raspberry Pi in it that you can plug in and play games on, or what. I know Simbu's gonna buck the trend here. What are we getting at Simbu for the holidays?
So I have uber challenged myself out of the multitude of millions of video games libraries that could be used. I have decided to go with games that I physically own and pair a game with each of you. Now, there is one game that I physically own. However, it is not currently in my possession because Jason the 13th has it, and I think he lost the cartridge.
Yes, I
Dick.
know. I gotta find it.
But we're going to start with Astrimedes. The game in question is TMNT Turtles in Time. The other option that I physically have with me is my copy for the Switch of Streets of Rage 4. Reason I chose this for Astrimedes is because as he is a fan of the more old school gaming, and he loved the old classic beat 'em ups, not to mention the development hell that he spends millions of hours a day in. These games respect his time, allow him to pick them up, put them down, leave them there for a week, pick them back up, and not be confused when he starts the game back up.
I just bought Streets of Rage 4 on sale recently on Steam, actually. So good call on that one in particular.
But again, like I said, it's not like there's tons of in-depth story. There's not a lot of controls to memorize and things like that with like a God of War or an Assassin's Creed or something like that. So I think it would be an old school style beat 'em up is a perfect game for you because like that, you don't know when you're going to have a ton of time to play games.
Yep. Yeah, I tend to like multiplayer games that are very kind of pick up and play when you have people over sort of thing too. So good picks.
Nice.
So we're going to move right down my list. And my next game is for Jason the 13th, and that would be Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxies by Telltale. Story driven, story based, much like the Telltale any other Telltale series. But unlike games such as Until Dawn or The Quarry, there's a lot more action in this. So it's narrative driven, but it's an action game. Since Jason is a big fan of Marvel. And
Yep.
comic books in general, I feel that this would be a great one for him to play.
Oh yeah.
Next down the line, you know what? We'll save Fox for last because this will be fun to see his reaction on this one. Next up is going to be Jamie Owls. Now, I'm sure Fox probably has a 360 laying around somewhere. This game is completely out of print. You could probably still find it on eBay, things like that. However, the series was cut short by EA. We were supposed to get a third one, but my pick for Jamie Owls is Alice, The Madness Returns.
Hmm.
It is Alice in Wonderland meets, I would say, more like Resident Evil / Silent Hill So it's a very horror themed Alice in Wonderland, very bloody, very, gruesome, not so much like bloody, like just blood all over the place, but you guys know what I mean. Completely
Nice.
right up her alley. For Hillbilly, I'm not sure how he's going to feel about these two, but it's going to possibly pique his interest only on the fact that he does enjoy open world games. He does enjoy games that are long, such as not never ending. These aren't at never ending games, but they're filled with tons of side quests. There's a good mix of action, and it's kind of like eventually you become in any MMORPG, you become OP as all hell, and nobody can hurt you. That would be the Crackdown series.
Ooh.
Crackdowns 1 and 2.
Oh, nice. I've heard of those. Isn't Terry Crews like in the third one?
Unfortunately for me, I stopped with Xbox and went back to PlayStation, so I did not get Crackdown 3. I only have Crackdowns 1 and 2, but playing as basically a police super soldier is really fun, busting all the different gangs and things like that. Crackdown 2 was fun because they added the co-op initiative in it. So you get a couple of you together, up to 4 of you together to play. So again, I would say for Hart, that would be my picks for him.
Yeah, it both sound good to me. And now it makes me feel better about my choices for you.
All right, now we come to Stormrosesky. There are quite a few games in my collection that would pique her interest, as a lot of the games here that we've discussed on the cast have piqued her interest. However, there is one game we have never talked about. It is a bit of a cozy, fun kiddie style game. It's not fairly super challenging. I know Storm enjoys, cozy games. She enjoys more the whimsy, more, fantastical kind of things. And she enjoys again, like I said, games that don't, require 90,000 button presses to do one thing. My pick for Storm from the 360 PS3 era is Disney Universe.
Interesting.
Very cool.
So
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
So put it this way, it's kind of like an Astrobot before Astrobot was a thing. It is, in a sense, it's like the Lego games. It's like Skylanders / Disney Infinity, because you collect the different, you're a little like kind of amiibo me kind of character, and then you get all these different costumes that you can run around and play in. So like you can get like Mike or Jasmine or Jack Sparrow, Stitch costumes to run around and play. But it's a little bit of a platformer. It's like I said, it's not a terribly long game. It's not a terribly complicated game, and it's kind of just fun.
Nice. That's a good pick.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
All right. Fox. The infamous Fox.
First person shooters for dummies?
No. I'm going OG Xbox. And no, it's not Combat Evolved. It is going to be the original
Ooh. That actually is on sale right now on Steam, on like a mega Steam sale going on. So that wouldn't be too far out of the realm of possibilities. That's a great pick.
Because it is that it literally does capture RPG, the RPG elements that you enjoy, along with the Ocarina of Time playing style.
Nice. Yeah, I'm in. I dig it. I think that's good. And surprisingly enough, I don't think I have Fable for Steam, which I will most likely rectify because I think it is like 90% off or some crazy bojazz like that. That's a good one. Quick little update on some of our guests that are watching live. The Mad Belmont is in chat, so hey to Mad Belmont, welcome. Always great to have you. He does say screw Wada, so he is able to express, excuse me, express my sentimonies quite well. He also suggests for Astrimedes using a defibrillator to motivate for game development. So I mean, we do have an AED, portable AEDs at the building that we do work at work. So you know, that's
That would
a
be
thing.
the paddles on a chair under his butt, right? You just put
Yeah.
the paddles there, and every time he the chair leans back, it charges and
Either that or for prank's sake, put one of those air horns under his chair. That way, if it leaned back, it. Oh, and either you're muted, Astrimedes, or
I am muted.
Oh, there we
Not
go.
anymore though. I don't go into the office anymore. Instead, I just mainline coffee and don't leave my chair for 8 to 12 hours a day.
Well, at least the good thing is that you're not having to take long trips. Fat Boys was asking Simbu, the Disney universe, is that any good? He has two of those Disney Infinity sets. If that's anything similar, if that's worth his time.
So Disney Universe is completely different than Disney Infinity. Disney Infinity is a Skylanders style game, so it's the gotcha collect 'em type. As to where this is a bit more platformer. It's really hard to compare because they're really it's you know what I'm gonna say it. Let me, I got it. Little Big Planet. It is the little big planet of Disney.
So like 2D.
Kind of. It's that like 2D, 3D side scroller kind of feel.
Because like 3D would be Astrobot, 2D would be Little Big Planet. That's interesting. That sounds intriguing. You've got my attention. I'm surprised that they haven't ported that. Maybe it's whoever owns that particular company. Disney video games are real tricksy when it comes to development because so many different companies develop them, make them. It gets sold, go bankrupt. Other companies buy the rights to them. It's crazy. Let's move on though to Stormrosesky and the gifts that Storm would buy each of us or get each of us for the holidays.
All right. So first up, for Herdicus, we get the Age of Mythology retold because it's a
Very nice.
strategy game with the Greek gods and all that stuff, and it's right up there with the World of Warcraft. I feel like with all that mythology kind of crap going on. I lost my words.
That's a good one.
So got them, and then for Jason the 13th, it would either be Mario and Luigi, the Brotherhood, because I don't know if he has that yet, but I would
not
get
yet.
that for him, or Sea of Stars.
Ooh, that'd be a good pick too. Mario and Luigi is on my Christmas list.
There you go. I kind of figured, but either one of those I think would be a good choice for you. And I would like to see you play Sea of Stars.
All right, cool.
Jamie Owls, there was one video game that I sent her in a private message that they're developing and we don't have a name for her, but it looks like real life Animal Crossing with real life animals. And from the little bit of research I did, it was
I remember this now.
it's like red. People were comparing it to Redwall, so it'd be either that or Little Kitty, Big City. where you're a cat who has to travel around a big city and you get to wear hats and put clothes on your cat and whatnot. It looks fun.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. For Mike, not Mike,
Mom.
Artemis. Yeah, that dude. The Oregon Trail. Because
Because it's old.
yes, it just like if I think of like video game developing, I don't know why the Oregon Trail comes to mind, and I've connected the two. So you're getting the Oregon Trail.
Good
You know.
choice.
You can make us
It's a
all die
classic
in
I
weird ways.
definitely played a lot when I was a kid in school.
Yep. I loved it. So, for let's see who's left. That would be Simbu. Simbu. There's Mouthwashing, the video game, which is a horror video game. Um, it's a psychological horror, or the Storage War or Storage Hunter Simulator, because with the goat simulator and your farm not farming, I think you had power washing simulator or something like that.
Yep.
Storage hunting just seemed like something that you would like.
Storage.
So, yep. And finally, for Inferno Fox, either the Unicorn Overlord, which I had to look at for RPGs that I've not heard you talk about, and that was one of them. I don't think you've talked about it yet. Maybe, or if you have, I don't remember. There just seems to be somebody, but that or the Mexican trained dominoes on the Switch, just to have you have a little game that you can play and not care about, and while Jamie Owls is using the TV to play games on the PlayStation, that would be a fun little no-brainer. And I think that is it.
I don't have Mexican trained dominoes. No, that's those are good picks. Real spot on for Unicorn Overlord, because that is one of the RPGs that came out this year that I have, as you saw, I have, but I haven't played yet. And you would hear me talking about it because it's
the copy looks unopened.
It's sadly it
go.
is, but it's a tactical RPG that apparently is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm itching to play it. As far as I know, 2025 is looking pretty bare right now, but that's because a certain video game company has yet to reveal what their next system and thus games are gonna be. So yeah.
Well, Fox, don't worry. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I believe, is coming in May or June to PS5. So you'll have a game to play.
Yeah, that's funny enough, even though I'm not huge on movie franchise games, that's going to be a day one purchase for the PS5. It is a fantastic game from what I heard on the series systems. So I am actually pretty excited to get that. If anything, I would get it for Jamie Owls because it's essentially like it feels like a cross between Uncharted and Metroid Prime, as crazy as that sounds.
All in first person.
Yep. Yeah. Hence the Metroid Prime aspect of it, and I'm excited for that. That being so different. Let's pick on Hardicus and get his choices. That way he can say his, and then he'll be able to rest his very sexy voice.
Oh, come on. Everyone wants to hear the voice. I apologize in advance if I cough in anyone's ear. I'll try to mute my mic beforehand. So, starting out with Fox, I had a game that I know is on his list as Metaphor that I would have gotten him. A game that I think he would like that I don't think he would buy himself would be like Baldur's Gate 3. I think he would enjoy the RPG elements to that. Otherwise,
He already has it.
Oh, does he? I'm not surprised. Like, yeah, that's not surprising. For like a non-video game thing, though, I know Fox likes like a lot of video game art and like some shadow boxes, so I probably would have gotten him like either a Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger shadow box type thing to add to his collection.
Nice. I like it.
For Jamie Owls, you were a little rough because I know you like things like Ratchet and Clank and Uncharted and Tomb Raider, so I figure you would already have all of those things.
Yes.
So the first, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just agreeing.
Yeah. So picking on your owl obsession, I was going to get you Owl Boy as one option, and a game series that I thought you might actually like that is kind of like Ratchet and Clank would be the Sly Cooper series. I don't know if you've ever played
Yeah.
with any of those.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
But yes, that's a good choice.
So those would have been my picks for you.
Hmm.
We'll do Simbu next. As many physical copies of ET for the Atari as I could find.
Are you
Otherwise,
going to be cheap like Jason the 13th and get me the one without the manual?
as many as I could find, manual or not manual, box or no box, whatever I could find, and just dump them on you.
Hey, you threatened coal to all of us, so
That's
true.
So, Simbu, like Storm and Fox, that whole V-Bucks, I think they're called V-Bucks for Fork Knife, was an option, but I refused to provide any money towards that company. So the actual games that I thought you might like, that I don't know if you've played, would be either from the Infamous series or the Prototype series. And
I love both of them.
do you? Okay. When you told me Crackdown, I was like, okay, I feel a lot better about picking those.
Nice.
Absolutely. I loved the first Infamous. The sequels were okay. They weren't all that great. But Prototype, yeah, Prototype 1 and 2 were phenomenal games. I'd also like to throw the Crisis series onto that pile right there, because that was a phenomenal series as well, in the same vein of the.
Oh, I don't think I've ever played any of those. I'll have to look at those. So those are my choices for you. Jason the 13th, you were a little harder because I really only know that you're into like Pokemon and
Hentai.
Mega Man and stuff like that. No, the hentai I say for
Yaoi.
someone else. Uh, excuse me. So what my first choice was, and I thought you might already have it, would have been the Mario and Luigi Brotherhood. It's nice to know that you don't have that one, so I would have gotten it right
Yep.
there. But otherwise, I would have found out through someone which physical copy of Pokemon you did not have yet and track down one of those.
Nice.
We'll go with Astrimedes next. I have a friend that is also into card battlers and weird games, and they suggested Half Demon Shinobi as a card battler type game. And as someone said, hentai. I believe it is also a hentai game. So
Maybe I'll stop looking this up.
enjoy that one.
If Astrimedes randomly disappears from the live cast right now, we wish him well and hope his wife doesn't walk in on him.
Right?
She knows
another-
what I'm into.
Another kind of like weirder, I should say weirder, but like just type of different game, and I'm sure you've probably played it. It's like This War of Mine.
I haven't played it, but I'm familiar with it. That is definitely something kind of up my alley, like a dark kind of war story horror game sort of thing.
Yeah, your love of Darkest Dungeon kind of made me think of like it's kind of a just, I don't want to say brutal, but it's a rough time going sometimes with some of the things that it can happen there. Otherwise, it would have been just a big old Steam gift card so you can explore all those random indie games that you love.
That I sometimes love, but always keep buying.
Oh yeah. All right, Stormrosesky, you were the easiest for me as far as the ideas that came about. I'm sure you've probably already played it. Stardew Valley was one of the ones that hit my list.
I've never played it.
Well, it's kind of like an Animal Crossing type game with just a little more
Depth.
yeah, a little more depth and options. So I thought that was one of the cozy games I thought you might like. For a physical thing, I would have tried to track down either the classic Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street from like the old Nintendo days, just
Oh,
to have
purple
that sitting on your
Jason.
yeah, just to have that sitting on your shelf.
Yep.
For the two game, there I have two more for you of games that I think you might like, but I don't know if you've ever played. The first one is Splatterhouse.
Oh, good one.
I've never played it.
It's kind of like at least the one I played on Genesis was like kind of like Streets of Rage type thing where you're a Jason like type character killing people. It's if I remember right, it's one of the earlier bloodier games.
And
Uh,
Splatterhouse 3 on Genesis is like the definitive best Splatterhouse, in my opinion. It's got
that's
like
what I've heard
branching
is the third is the best.
storyline and creepy little cutscenes. For the time, especially, it was pretty impressive.
Didn't they bring Splatterhouse out not long ago? And
They've brought it back from the
360
dead a
era?
couple times, maybe, but I don't think it ever went well since
Yeah, I don't
like
think it ever
that
went well.
era.
And the last game that I thought you might like would be the Manhunt series.
Oh,
That's
nice.
another just kind of violent type of,
Woohoo.
stalking
I
around, killing
bought
people.
Manhunt, I think, when it came out. Like it came out like the maybe early 2000s or something. The first one came out, right? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It's like in that I want to say like the PS2 era kind of ish, and that somewhere around there, maybe PS1. I don't remember exactly, but it's just one that stuck out in my head that like, hey, Star might like a game like that.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my list.
Woohoo.
Nice. I
I-
like it.
I'd be happy.
Man. Yeah, it definitely hit the nail on the head on a lot of these. Storm, we really got to get you into a Stardew Valley shaped vehicle, especially if for some reason you get the Animal Crossing itch, you need to move into Stardew Valley. Oh, so good.
Yeah. I'll have to look into it. For now, I'm avoiding those because yeah, reasons, but yes, I will have to look into it.
Very cool. Astrimedes, how about you? What sort of gifts are you giving your fellow Inferno castmates?
So for mine, I did try to pick games that I thought people would like, but I mostly picked kind of like weirder stuff I was sort of more familiar with in most cases. Kind of just assuming that all the big name games I would pick for you guys would be stuff you have already, but try to pick stuff you'd actually like. So in terms of some really obscure sort of stuff for you, I guess not so much obscure, but very indie. Start with you, Inferno. I think it'd be fun. I think you could have fun with UFO 50, and I have two specific game picks within UFO 50 that reminded me of games that you would like. The first one is called Grimstone, and it's like an Old West, and UFO 50. For those not familiar, it's kind of like an 8-bit styled old school games, 2-button input, but it's actually a PC game that's a collection of 50 games. So this game, Grimstone, it's a very Final Fantasy One styled kind of 8-bit RPG. You pick a party with the individual class members that class makeup that you want. It's got some kind of interesting like on hit timing mechanics during the JRPG combat, and it's just a very kind of like fun, faithful feeling, simple little Final Fantasy One style game. And then another one I think you would enjoy is an odd one I had a lot of fun with that I think you probably would like too, called Lords of Disconia. It's essentially like it's a tactical kind of turn-based combat RPG, except all of the combat happens with like an air hockey mechanic where your units are like different sized like hockey puck kind of things with different weights and sort of distance they can travel and little special rules, and you literally launch these like kind of air hockey things at each other. They do damage. They have their own kind of little rules, and it's a surprisingly kind of fun little game. But I think there's probably other stuff on UFO 50 you'd like to. And honestly, just kind of like talking about classic games with you for as long as I have and everything for the entire time I've known you. Just like this, what kind of tickled me about UFO 50 is that kind of like old school like sense of discovery when you were a kid and you're kind of just picking up this game for the first time and figuring out what's going on. And those were a couple in particular. There's another for most of you, I tried to maybe pick two just in case also. But this other one I picked for you, I think maybe you've played it, but if you haven't, Cthulhu Saves the World. I didn't know if that was something you were familiar with or not, but it's again, this one is kind of like an old school JRPG styled game. But this was probably initially started coming out around 2000. I want to say there's been one or two kind of like repackage, update, re-release kind of versions. But I remember playing this when it first came out, the first version on Xbox 360. It might have even been, and the writing is really funny. You play Cthulhu as like the hero. It's like both a sort of jokey your Cthulhu story that mostly really just plays out kind of like an old school RPG where you're the chosen one, except you being the chosen one is you being Cthulhu and wanting to call the old gods down and blah blah blah. But it's the writing is funny, the presentation is good. It feels very kind of faithful to old school RPGs again. So my picks for you were kind of along those lines. Next, Stormrosesky. I also said Stardew Valley. But some other ones I thought of for you were Death and Taxes. If you haven't played it, is a pretty fun kind of cozy sort of visual novel or Papers, Please style game where you are the Grim Reaper at your desk job, and you're one of many Grim Reapers and your boss gives you kind of directives. You get a list of people's names and their occupation and have to make the choice whether they live or die based on kind of rules you're given and whether you want to sort of buck those rules or not. It's a surprisingly kind of like deep in terms of what your choices do. A little game. It's a fun, cozy little thing just to pick up. You have a desk that you can kind of physically move your little items on around and stuff. And I just thought it was kind of interesting, both story-based, fun little thing, but also kind of feels cozy and the kind of tactileness of the things you can gather around you in your own little kind of space you have control over.
That sounds fun. And it is on the Switch, so you can check that out.
I didn't know if it got released for any other systems. And Simbu, I may be way off base with yours here, but one I don't know if you like pinball games at all, but a sort of half joking choice or not. I did play it and I thought it was kind of fun. Pinball M on Steam has it's a very horror themed pinball thing, and there's a bunch of tables that are they have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre table. The tables I would get you specifically if I were to gift you this would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Thing, Chucky's Killer Pinball, and Camp Bloodbrook, which is clearly a Friday the 13th knockoff table. And then other choices, Goat Simulator 3. I don't know if you played the Goat Simulator games. It strikes me as something that might amuse you.
I own it.
Okay, all right. I'm at least on the right track. And another one I kind of threw on here was Buckshot Roulette. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a oddball, like very small, little kind of grimy, kind of horror themed game where it's it's Russian roulette with a shotgun with you in the dealer character, and you get these power-ups that are like beer and cigarettes and stuff that do kind of weird little different effects. It's actually a pretty neat little game that's kind of interesting to pick apart. That guy, Mike Klubnica, I think his name is, that made that game. He's made a lot of small horror games that have a very kind of like particular voice, and it just struck me as something small and weird and grimy and horror themed that you might sort of like.
Interesting.
Jason the 13th. I thought you were actually the most difficult one to choose something for. I didn't want to just pick some random flavor of Pokemon that you almost certainly have. But if you're not familiar with, I thought maybe the Slime Rancher games. So Slime Rancher 2, if you're not familiar with it, is a game I haven't played it, but I've heard of it. I heard a bit about it during development. I just thought it seemed like a sort of like fun game. It's like you're running a slime ranch and you go out and capture different kinds of slimes that you bring back to your ranch that you then can breed and such. And I just thought it seemed like a kind of fun, different collectible creature sort of thing.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Predominantly because you're slimy, Jay.
Yes, that's why.
Ah.
And Hillbilly Hardicus, I was thinking, if you don't have it already, if you're like me and you're just too cheap to buy it, Baldur's Gate 3, in this theoretical scenario, where I'm not really buying you a gift, but I would, if I didn't have to spend the money, get you Baldur's Gate 3 if you don't have it already. Other thoughts for you, though, would be maybe something like Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, which is a very kind of classical RPG set in the Warhammer universe that got pretty good reviews. Or going kind of weird old school PC RPG, Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura. If you never played it, is a pretty neat classic RPG on the computer for where you can pick a very technology or magic kind of focused direction, and it's got kind of a unique game world that doesn't feel like your cookie cutter sort of fantasy setup. And then last but not least, Jay Meows. I also had a kind of tough time picking stuff for you, so my choices are maybe a little strange here. But there was a game. This probably came out in maybe 2015 called Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams, and it's a platformer, sort of like an old school-ish platformer where you're sort of two sisters and it's sort of like a switch between them. I think light and dark mechanic kind of thing. It's like a puzzle platformer, and it's sort of like a kind of like dark vibe, but a pretty like kind of bouncy sort of platformer. Other choices for you were Slay the Princess. If you're not familiar with it, is a visual novel sort of horror game. And I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but it's a pretty neat setup where the narrative is telling you essentially, here's a dagger, go kill the princess. You walk into the cabin, you find the princess, she pleads with you, something happens, maybe you die, you start again, and everything you did before kind of is represented as sort of maybe this different voice you're now hearing. And the whole game is, do you believe the narrator? Do you believe the princess? And what is this kind of like weird time loop sort of thing you seem to be stuck in? So it's a pretty, the writing is pretty neat. All of the audio is voiced and done pretty well, and the art is kind of interesting. It's this sort of sketchy look, expressive kind of thing. And then just because I was initially toying with the idea of making UFO 50 picks for everyone, I did make a couple specific picks from UFO 50 for you two. And I thought there's a game called Magic Garden on UFO 50 that is an 8-bit old school game where it's essentially a snake-like kind of game where you're a girl in a purple dress that you move around on a tiled map, and you pick up a kind of train of these cute slimes. You move around, you collect power-ups, you kind of cash them in on these other tiles and avoiding stationary enemies. And the other one that thought maybe you would like was this one called Waldorf's Journey, where you play this walrus who is having a dream that he can fly, and he jumps across different platforms and collects power-ups like fish and stuff. And it's kind of like a weird, it's meant to be sort of like a weird early example of a like very character-based sort of oddball platformer, and thought you might find that weirdly cute.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for UFO 50 to come to the Switch. It has to be going there. And the Gianna Sisters, that's a sequel game to their game from the Commodore 64 in the 80s, where they got a wonderful nasty gram from Nintendo for it being too close to Super Mario Brothers.
Yep.
Uh,
I got a question for Astrimedes. Is Rogue Trader that the XCOM style one?
It might be. I want to say it came out like maybe like in the last 5 years or so. I just know, honestly, I know that the Rogue Trader sort of role-playing game setting is a fairly deep one. I looked into this Warhammer game a bit. It seemed to have pretty good reviews. Yeah, it's probably whichever one you're seeing. I don't think I was seeing more than one Rogue Trader Warhammer game, but
Yeah,
maybe
I
there
think
is.
that's the one that's kind of like an XCOM kind of
It
tactical
probably
shooter.
is. That would make
That was
sense.
actually
Yeah.
on my list. Yeah,
Oh, was it? Very
I
good.
have Baldur's Gate 3, and I have played Arcanum as well. It's an excellent old school RPG. So good
It's on the right
choices, man.
track.
Very cool. Fat Boys Gaming Nonsense had asked if we've all seen the 1 foot huge vinyl Pokemon at GameStop, Jason the 13th.
I have not. I haven't been to any GameStops lately.
Yeah, and the one GameStop by us is like a frickin' ghost town. There's barely anything in there. Maybe two walls, half filled with
Wow.
display cases of games, and then the middle is super empty. There's like one rack of shirts, one end cap
Yep.
of like figures, and then like that's it.
You're
Sheesh.
talking the one on 59.
59. It
Yep.
is a
And the
ghost
one that,
town.
which is surprising because the one in the mall has more in it.
Which is like half the size.
No, actually, I think the one in the mall might be bigger than the one
Really?
on 59.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because 50, the one on 59 is part of a chain store, like a chain thing.
Right.
That's tiny little thing. The mall has.
I was thinking the mall was a smaller location.
No.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong mall.
That's a good question. But yeah, it's the GameStops have just been oof. Glad to see it. He had said that his is pretty stacked, but it's only miles off 59 in the Houston, Texas area. So that's pretty cool. Glad to see yours is pretty full up.
Last time I was at the GameStop in Downers Grove, it was pretty good still. It didn't look barren at all.
That's good. Because we were figuring like how poor the GameStops were around us. It was kind of indicative of the times and the dying physical media. I was just listening to a video from Digital Foundry where LG now is bowing out of the creators of Blu-ray, like stamping Blu-rays and creating Blu-ray
Wow.
players.
Yeah.
So it's happening. It's like the most reliable Blu-ray player out there is the PS5. So
Well, I was gonna say, Fox, to be fair though, the GameStop in question on 59 is like hidden for all it by pretty much it's basically just hidden over there.
it's
Unless
right
you-
on Route 59. Like if you drive by it, you see the sign.
Yeah,
Oh.
but
Thought they all had money now.
instead.
Right? Because of the MAME stocks.
Because of the diamond hands and whatnot. Yeah.
The diamond hands. Wrapping us up for the gifts.
Wrapping
Jamie
up
Owls.
gifts.
The gifts, gifs. Choosy moms choose GIF. Jamie Owls, were you able to come up with some GIFs to get your Inferno castmates?
You're all getting gift cards.
So we're all
No.
getting gift cards.
No. Yeah, I was able to set up a list. So the list that I have in front of me, there are two games that I played And the rest are just the ones I've heard of, and I thought of the person that I can see playing. This first one will go to Simbu. It is a first person psychological survival horror game that was released in 2013 called Outlast. And it's a game where the main character is in this insane asylum. Um, if I remember correctly, he is a journalist that's trying to get answers from this place, and you have to use a camera to find your way around. And depending on the easy levels, like there's easy and then there's hard. If it's the hard mode, I think the battery drains a lot faster.
Yep.
My second game will go to Stormrose. And this is a game that I see myself playing, and we heard about it when the Nintendo did their direct, I believe, back in March. And it is the Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Woohoo!
It's of course it's a lot similar to Animal Crossing because I know how much you like that. And because it has like all the little animals, just like in Animal Crossing, I thought this would be like a perfect gift for you to play because it does look really cute and fun. For Jason the 13th, this game I believe was released already. I think it's on Steam. I don't know if it's out on like a physical copy for PlayStation. I could be wrong, but it's a game that's a remake called Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Um, the reason why I picked this game for you, I don't really know the whole storyline, but the reason why I thought that you would play this because the graphics remind me of Kena Bridge of Spirits because I know you played that before.
Yep.
So I thought this would be a good choice for you. Astrimedes, you were a little difficult, so I really had to rack my brain and thought, what weird games do you like? This one I know Inferno Fox played, I watched them, and it's Undertale. I know you like indie games, so this is like a role-playing video game, and it was released in 2015. It's spooky, it's weird, and it has a whole bunch of fun stuff in it that I know you like. And the famous, if I'm saying his name correctly, Sans. I know he's in Smash Brothers. So this I feel would be the perfect game for you.
That is a good choice. I've heard a lot about Undertale. I've never
Yeah,
actually played it though. It is the kind of game that if someone like randomly gave it to me, I would probably actually finally play it. So
cool.
it's a good
Oh,
choice.
good. Good. I picked right then. Awesome. Hardicus. I know you liked the Uncharted games, and I believe you even played all the Tomb Raiders. This game I played a couple years ago, and I played the second one. I want to give you a Plague Tale: Innocence. It's a action adventure game that takes place in 15th century France, I believe, and it's similar to Uncharted based on, the history, and there's a little bit of like nonfiction because of course it takes a place during the plague time, and I thought this would be a cool game for you to try out because I really enjoyed it and I think you would enjoy it as well.
Nice. I've actually heard of that one. It's kind of on my radar of like if I ever see that for a super sale, I'm gonna pick that
Yeah.
up. That's the one with all the rats, right?
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely on my radar. Good pick.
Awesome, great. And last but not least, to Infernal Fox, you have a lot of games, so you're kind of hard. Because each time I have to find a game for you, I have to go into the game room and look at all the games that you have just to make sure I don't actually buy this duplicate. But I know you mentioned this, and I know how much you like the Japanese culture. And I think my pick for you would be The Rise of the Ronin, because it kind of looks like Ghost of Tsushima. And I know how much you like that game, so that would be my pick for you. And candy.
And he's got it.
Do you really?
He
Damn
held
it.
something up.
Well, that's why you would look ahead of time.
I missed it.
See, Jamie, I'll just give him plumbers don't wear ties.
Mm,
I know he doesn't have that.
I don't think he has ET either.
Yes, I do not have either of those.
Leisure
One,
Suit Larry collector's editions.
one is a piece of crap, and one is rests where piece of crap lie.
I was actually gonna say Leisure Suit Larry for Simbu Darkfang too on my list.
We have
I will say I enjoyed the first one. I've tried a couple of the like sequel ones. They're not as I don't know. I think it hits when you're like a mid-teen, somewhere around there. But
Yeah,
then it just it just kind of loses everything.
Feral Inferno, welcome. He's in the live chat, so I was glad to hear and see from him. He has plumbers don't wear ties, and I think he has it just due to the sheer fact that it's quite an artifact in like video gaming and video game culture. Just the funniness on how like bad and funny it is that way is at least I'm if I'm understanding Feral right. I don't know if he unironically enjoys it. To which,
I
if
think
he
it's
does,
actually on the
no
PlayStation Store.
pressure. Sorry, Simba, what was that? I'm sorry.
I said I think it's actually on the PlayStation Store right now. I think you can actually buy it.
Yeah, and it's also on the Switch too. So, although that's not so crazy because and Farrell does find it hilarious. Not so crazy considering all the hentai that's on the Nintendo eShop, right, Jason?
there is a
Yes.
lot on there. I'm sorry. But it is surprising the amount of stuff that is on the Nintendo eShop because it's Nintendo of all things. Okay, like they've always been the family friendly to me. So to see the amount of like more adult-ish video games that I'm air quoting, it's surprising for Nintendo. Anyway, I'm going back to my silent corner, but I had to pipe in
No.
that holy crap, there is a lot though on the Nintendo
That
eShop.
that is a problem actually for Nintendo, not for the sense of, like censorship, but a lot of the developers, excuse me, have and take issue with that sort of crap that is on the eShop, because if you're an indie developer and you release a game and then all of a sudden you've got all of these crap devs coming in, taking it and copying your idea and releasing it maybe the week after you created your game gets totally flooded and flooded out with all this crap. Nintendo needs to they actually need to do a job to filter out a lot of that crap, because that has been an issue for the last like 5 years.
Yep, because when you're looking for one thing, a whole bunch of other crap comes up. And it's like, wow, look at like I'm not searching for that. And it's searching something like 3 keywords different that have nothing to do with any of the hentai stuff, but it always comes up. Not that, and I'm no prude by any means. I don't give a crap. But it's just surprising that there's so much, and I guess that makes sense. Do a better job, Nintendo.
Yeah, I hope with the Switch 2 that's going to be a thing they're going to better monitor.
Fat Boys Gaming.
Yeah, it is the seal of quality. I guess that's why in the digital marketplace there is no seal of quality.
Yeah.
Gosh, alrighty, but so we've had a lot of really good games that we've mentioned, and I'm sure if we all won the lotto, we'd all give each other these games and probably that much and then some. But it's really good. Really good idea that we've been doing this for a little over a year and a half now, and we've got a good beat on what sort of games and everything that we each would enjoy. I feel like we've done a pretty good job, except maybe me getting a Unity thing for Astrimedes. I've already gotten a few nastygrams from him, and how he said that last show. So Astrimedes, I'm gonna miss you. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate
I
it.
appreciate the thought.
He could be repaid by you getting a graded copy of your game.
Your heart was in the right place. It's Unity's fault, not yours.
Hey, all I gotta say is we have been doing this for over a year, and we are just now learning the depravity of what Storm searches on the Nintendo eShop. Okay.
Sometimes when you do checking the new releases, it's like right up at the top once the curated like best
Yep.
games. It's like, it's awful.
What I don't like is none of the hentai is extreme enough.
Depends
Well,
on
not-
what your definition of extreme is.
All right, Astrimedes. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
But yes, so super huge thanks to everybody here for joining on the holiday cast as well as our live chatters. Make sure that you check us next, either probably going to be next Monday, maybe next Tuesday, but probably going to be next Monday because I think next Tuesday we're all going to be celebrating with various New Year's festivities. But then we will go back to normal Tuesday evening shows, although if we need to change things up, we will let you guys know either via Twatler, Blue Sky, through Inferno Fox Gaming, as well as through the community channel. I'll make sure to keep everyone notified, and thank you so much for joining. Parting shots. What parting shots you guys got?
I'll be expecting my PS5 Pro soon.
Not the 30th anniversary edition. That one is mine.
It's fine. I'm happy with the PS5. I mean, just whatever you want to do, Fox. I'll be happy. I'm not picky.
You got to be careful. You know me.
I know. I know you.
I am expecting my Christmas list now from all of you in my hands within the next 2 weeks. So get to spending money.
Look, it's going to be hard to find copies of ET in 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
eBay, I'm sure they got
I pulled it up on eBay. It was like right there. Boom.
You have eBay down there, Hardicus.
I think so. Do they have that in the hills?
You need Steam. And you need Steam for the storage hunters there, Simbu, so.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
But
it'd be fun.
They probably have something similar to that on Nintendo eShop somewhere.
It's gotta be. You would think. But thank you so much for joining, and we hope you have a wonderful series of